Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, we're actually right next to each other. If you're watching on the video, we are definitely in the same room together at the Win, because the Win is our new partner at BetSperts. Andy, do you want to remind everybody of that before we get started today?
Yeah, we talked about it last night. If you missed any of the deep dive stuff, free sweatshirts are available. I have a tweet I've retweeted. If you sign up, you don't even have to deposit much, just $25, make a bet, DM us with that, and we'll be like, hey, what's your size? And you can tell us that and give me your address, and I won't personally handle it. Someone with much more organizational skills than myself will be handling that. But next month or so, between now and the Super Bowl, get you a damn sweatshirt. How was the word content spelled? Did I misspell content at some point? Probably.
It's possible.
It's Monday, man. It's Monday.
Well, people love free stuff, so make sure you sign up. Again, I think it's New Jersey and a couple other states. And yeah, it's fun. We love free bets. That's always a plus EV thing where you can do something risk-free. And who says no to a sweatshirt?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty nice sweatshirt. I've made sweatshirts with this brand before. So otherwise, yeah, it's Monday. We had a long weekend. We'll probably have a long weekend again, too. I don't know. We'll do like a New Year's Day one. Might be a 4-day week again. You know how it goes. But we are into the twilight zone of NFL handicapping. It is week 17, which is the weirdest week. I spoke about it last night. If anybody who watches the opener stream with me and Drew, it is one of those where I have numbers. I have numbers. I make this team, 8 points better than the average team. I make this team 4 points better than the average team. You put them together and say on a neutral, this team's 4 points better. That's how most people do something similar to that. This week is hilarious looking at my prices because they don't mean much. If you look, I would still have Pittsburgh better than Cleveland on a neutral, but you go and you find, Cleveland's 7-point favorites. Like, obviously, if I just punch them in like I do every week, things are not going to make sense because of the lack of motivation for some of these teams. Some of these teams are absolutely locked into spots. Tampa can't really move. The two number one seeds were almost locked in. Green Bay now has actually something to play for. Kansas City is obviously locked in. So there's some goofiness. This is going to be a week where you really have to pay attention and maybe take it light. We added a couple last night. I have one that I don't think moved enough that probably could still add in the Cardinals +4. I think I got a 5.5. Obviously not really 5 not being a super key number. This is probably one or two where if you want to play some Cardinals straight up, I don't hate that either. It's in LA. Obviously, both teams have something to play for. This is actually a game where both teams have something to play for. So you can't say, must win for this team, must win for that team. Just not only where my prices have this, I think earlier in the season, if this game happens, I'm probably playing the Rams. But just based on what I saw with Goff and the fact that he's probably going to have thumb surgery in the offseason and we'll try to gut it out this week, I had to play this number. I think this might keep trickling down. And obviously, if Jared Goff turns out to be hurt badly and they have to go with the backup there, this number is going to cross 3 and you'll be glad you had it. So I like this one. I also quickly, I played the Cowboys number at like -1. I'm looking right now to see where that ended up. That's up to 2.5, 3. That's where it should be. And then Tennessee, if you can find a 7, I don't hate that either. Tennessee versus Houston looks like probably no Deshaun, no Laramie Tunsil. So a couple looks on there, and that might be it because it is a hairy week. You added some NFL, though, too, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a tough week going through. Look at some of those prices. I like your looks. Hopefully you can still find a Cardinals +4.5, given that Goff news. It looks like it is still open a few places, down others. So check all your spots there. I like that. Also a good look there on Tennessee. You're right. If Deshaun Watson's out, that should be like 14? Something crazy like that. What I ended up adding was the New Orleans Saints -5. Sent this out on BetSperts earlier this morning. So, make sure you follow us both on BetSperts, Andy at Andy, and myself at Alex Christensen with no space. I like this spot for the Saints a lot. I think that although Drew Brees threw 2 picks yesterday, I thought he looked a little bit better. Obviously he got a lot of help from Alvin Kamara, and I don't expect him to score 6 touchdowns again, but should have a solid game here against the Panthers. The Saints are playing for a chance at the 1 seed, or at the very least to lock up the 2, which is big for them. I expect them to come out, put together a nice game. I think Carolina played a little above their heads last week, so I think that's why we got some value here early. Again, I was able to grab the Saints -5. It looks like it's ticked out to -6, which I still think is okay. I wouldn't play the 6.5 that I'm seeing a few places. So if you can find a -6 at kind of your standard juice -110, that's probably still okay. But I grabbed it at -5. What do you think of the Saints?
Yeah, this is turned into a little bit of weirdness at the top of the NFC with Green Bay, New Orleans, and Green Bay winning last night was big, but Green Bay actually having to play against the Bears now because the 1 seed is not locked up. If they lose against Chicago and New Orleans and Seattle wins, the tiebreakers get funny. Again, it's still Monday. It's Monday morning. I've had 1 coffee, and it's I'm not at the point yet where I have looked at all the tiebreakers, but tiebreakers get funnier if you end up in a 3-way. And 3-ways, I mean, just ask anybody who's had a relationship and tried this. 3-ways mess stuff up sometimes. They're not all they're cracked up to be. So Green Bay, New Orleans, and Seattle in a 3-way, you throw head-to-head records out the window in that, and you go to separate tiebreakers. So playing and beating a team means very little once you get into a 3-way tie for seeding. Obviously, Green Bay is and should beat, is favored, should beat Chicago. They're 5.5, 6-point favorites there. But the fact that they have to get it done now, changes the landscape of that game. Something to pay attention to for the rest of the week. And yeah, obviously we'll touch more on NFL as the week goes, and then Drew and I will do some deep diving as we get into it on Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, there's a couple looks I like. We don't have any games. I mean, there is one tonight, and we will touch on first touchdown market, but no Thursday night games. So after tonight, no games until Sunday. There's no Saturday action. No, it's all Sunday. So a big break in between Monday night and Sunday, but plenty of NBA in there.
That's right, folks. We've got a lot of fun in the National Basketball Association. Thought it would be good to touch on kind of the insanity that was yesterday. We've got about 2 to 3 games. Most teams have played 3. Some have only played 2. And yesterday was a big day for regression people. And if that's something that you're into, the Brooklyn Nets, after destroying the first 2 teams, lost outright to the Charlotte Hornets. The 76ers, after 2 big wins, lost by more than 20 points to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Milwaukee Bucks, after 2 very strong games, lost by 20 to the Knicks. The Los Angeles Clippers scores 27 points in the first half. They scored 13 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second quarter. Again, 27 for the first half. They were down by 50 at the half, for the largest deficit in NBA history. I don't know if the final ended up breaking any sort of records, but I think it just speaks to the idea and the messiness of what we're going to have here at the beginning of the season. You've got a lot of these teams, and I know it's early, but they're playing back-to-backs. I think a lot of teams have played their 3 games like in 5 or 6 nights, which can be kind of messy, and especially right at the beginning of the season without having a full training camp. A lot of these teams didn't get to play preseason, so a lot of these players may not be in, quote, game shape, if you will. It's something that a lot of people that have ever played sports or really heard athletes talk about. As much training as you can do during the off season, there's something to be said for playing actual games with people. So again, not having the training camp, not having the preseason, I think has led to a little bit of wonkiness here. So what I would say is try to stay calm. Don't get too excited about big things that happen either way.
It's preseason, right? It's kind of preseason right now still, because we didn't have a big preseason.
The Nets look great for their first 2 games. I tried not to overreact to that. In the same way, I'm not going to overreact to them collapsing and losing to the Hornets. So we're going to try to stay the course here and keep going forward. We've done okay here as a group, beating some of the closing numbers. I think we're about break even on brown bag NBA picks, but have a couple looks for tonight, 2 totals. One that when I posted yesterday has moved in my direction. One that I posted yesterday on BetSperts has moved against me. So pretty interesting here. We'll start with Utah and Oklahoma City. They're playing. I like the under 220 here. Was actually able to get 221.5 last night. Which was pretty great, but still like 220 here. As you look at these teams, they're both in the bottom half league in pace. Again, it's only through 3 games, but Utah, historically a very slow team, usually in the bottom half of the league. Oklahoma City, with kind of this pared down roster and a more defensive focused team, has been a lot slower. And as you start to look at the offensive ratings, Utah's had a nice couple games putting up points, but Oklahoma City has an offensive rating of 101, which as I look around, is not quite the worst in the league, but is in the bottom 5. I really struggle to see how there's a lot of points in this game. I think you're going to need something like overtime, knock on wood, to get the over and lose this under bet. So really like under 220 here. I would play it at this number. If this happens to disappear, don't play it any lower than 219. But I think this is a great under spot given the way the game should go and the fact that, I expect Utah to win here without too much trouble.
Yeah, they looked bad against a Minnesota team that is not known for their defensive prowess over the past few years. Like that's worrisome if you're a Utah fan.
Yep, absolutely. It's and it should be a slow kind of a slog of a thing. The other total I like, and this one you can actually now get a better number than what I got last night. I played this at over 225. It's going down, which makes me wonder if there's some sort of news coming about James Harden or somebody like that, or some sort of injury news that I'm unaware of. Again, I kind of scoured everything that I can on Twitter. I didn't see anything in that regard this morning. So unclear to me why this total is dropping. Two teams have played a very quick pace. Both of these teams, again, for years have played quickly. They've played quickly so far. They both have plenty of offensive talent. Again, if James Harden is playing, he can put up points with just about anybody. Denver, as I've talked about a few times, has 3 guys in Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr. that keep, kind of an elite offensive player on the floor at just about all times throughout the game. So I think we'll see an up-tempo contest here with a lot of scoring on the floor. I don't know why this total, I make it about 229, almost 230. I think it was like 229 point something. So was really happy to get over 225. If this continues to drop, I honestly might invest some more and, maybe even look at some alt overs before the game starts. I think we're going to see a lot of points here.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, and the NBA has been tricky. I'm in a couple chats that talk NBA, and there's been a lot of frustration and head scratching and what the hell is going on with this team and that team, and oh my God, this result. And it's been tricky. And again, Drew said this, a couple other people have said this, like, it's still early. You just said it. Let's not overreact. It's still kind of the preseason. We're still getting a feel for some of these teams. And it's, unprecedented. We've said that enough this year about everything. I think these teams are, some of them played like 2 months ago, essentially. We had like a 70-day break in between seasons. So goofy season for sure. But a couple totals you like. I'll probably get in on that. Somebody asked if you do player props at all.
Not yet. I'd like a little more data for that. At some point, make sure you follow an account on Twitter at Ace NBA Previews. That's myself and a couple other guys. We are going to be working on posting some player prop material throughout the season, things like that. One of our guys, Steve, actually posted something yesterday. So follow that account. You can see the player props there. Not something I get into too heavily yet. I want us to have at least probably 10 games of player data. Given how much change you have in the NBA year over year with rosters, with coaches, with team styles and things like that, I try to wait till I have a little more data there as opposed to making, full game plays where I feel more comfortable with making bigger assumptions about a group as opposed to digging in deep. So we'll have some player props later, but nothing yet.
Yeah, it is a little tough to run the numbers when you don't know what's going on yet. So speaking of not knowing what's going on yet, college basketball still just trickling into conference play here. I played a couple plays today. I almost played another favorite. Like Drake is kind of a truck. If you play Drake -4, I don't hate that. Like they're kind of there's 2 really good Iowa teams this year, and Drake is one of them. So I don't traditionally play favorites. I need a little bigger edge to do that. So I'm off that. But NJIT got the shit beat out of him yesterday. Badly lost. And again, nothing has changed in my numbers. I played him yesterday, lost. I think I got them at 10.5. They lost by 14. They really probably shouldn't have been that close. They had a nice comeback at the end to get close to the number, but I have to play them again. There is some signal on this back-to-back being a little bit of zigzag. I'm not really taking that too much into account. I play my numbers unless something wild has happened to this team. So NJIT not traveling, playing the same damn team again. So versus Vermont, I don't have a ton of data on Vermont yet. They lost their best player, but they're still apparently the best damn team in the America East. So this is an ugly one, but I've got to be on it again. And take that and make it worse. Here's a team that lost by 30 yesterday that will be playing the same team. But again, I can't make massive adjustments based on one game. They started really slowly, both of these games. I mean, if you start slow in a college basketball game, get down by 20 right away, it's awful hard to get inside the number. But I make this one much closer. Honestly, I make this like 10 or 11. Like I can't get this number nearly this big. I know my numbers aren't quite sharp enough to say like, yeah, this is like 7 points off. But even though it does lean hard enough this way that I'm going to play Illinois State again. These are ugly. These aren't any fun. And then I'm getting some NBA questions again in the chat too. If you want to, is everyone back for the Rockets? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm taking a look real quick. I was trying to find that. I haven't seen anything for the Rockets that was problematic. Again, I don't know that if everybody with COVID is back, if they've cleared all that yet. But again, the big player is Harden. If Harden's playing, and then frankly him and Christian Wood, I mean, they'll just be able to pick and roll their way to 120 points. It still looks like Wall and Gordon are listed day-to-day with DeMarcus Cousins, so those guys must still be in some sort of COVID protocol. I haven't heard anything about them yet.
Monday Night Football. It is Monday. This is our last Monday Night Football. We don't get any more of these. There will be but as far as, standalone games that have bigger prop menus, that have bigger first touchdown score menus, more widely available, you're going to get a mess of those coming up. It's called the playoffs. They'll have that for every playoff game. We're going to have double Saturday games. You're going to have double standalone Sunday games. It's beautiful. I love everything about the NFL playoffs. We say like week 17 is tough and the lines get tight. The playoffs are actually a great place to bet. There's some bad numbers sometimes, even though there's fewer games and it's such a liquid market. Traditionally done pretty well in the playoffs. So tonight, final Monday night, Buffalo, New England. Little brother is finally, the chickens came home to roost. New England isn't good anymore. It's a lot of fun. Buffalo is a big favorite here. This has been bet up from 45 from like -5. So Buffalo and over money coming in. I don't have a strong take on this game. I think Buffalo does show up. It's tough with their motivation because seeding between the 2 and 3 seeds may be semi-meaningless. You don't get the 2 seed home game anymore, or you don't get the 2 seed bye anymore. So between the 2 and the 3, the only difference between getting the 2 seed and the 3 seed is who you play. And then if you were to meet the 2 and 3 seed, you would have a home game, which might mean something to Buffalo since they are doing some experimenting with getting fans in the stands. They're doing some stuff where they're, making all these people get tested and making sure everyone has like a clean bill of health and then letting them into the stadium. So having fans at all will help, especially if
and the weather advantage.
Yeah, and the little bit of weather advantage if they can get a team like Miami or somebody up there to Buffalo. So they have something to play for. It's tough to say with the total motivation, but so I'm not making a bet. I'll probably make a second half bet. Yeah, and then obviously somebody brought this up, avoiding Baltimore would be good. Baltimore, I'm not 100% sold on them. They've been beating the shit out of really bad teams for the past few weeks. I'm not saying they're bad. They're a good team, and maybe that's what it takes to get their mojo back, just beating the tar out of, the Bengals and the Jaguars and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of effort we see from both teams tonight. But we do have first touchdown scorers, which always fun.
That's right, folks. It's a little tough week. It's a tough night for first touchdown scorer. Usually we have a little bigger menu to choose from today. We have 2 picks. Before I talk about those specifically, as you start to look at some of your data and stats here, you would really like to start to attack things like, Buffalo wide receivers. New England gives up the 9th most touchdowns to wide receivers. But as you start to look at some of the prices, Stephon Diggs is 8-1. I think he only has 1 first touchdown all year. If I went back through it, when I went back through and looked, definitely doesn't have more than 2. And it's going to get a lot of attention here from New England's best cornerbacks the whole game. You look down at the next wide receiver, Cole Beasley, not a big touchdown guy, and certainly not someone I'm interested in at 12-1. Gabriel Davis at 16-1. Again, not enough target share for me to be interested at that price. So you kind of throw that out the window. We always like to attack tight ends here, of course. Pretty much, I think I've had tight ends just about every time that we've talked about this. But these are two tough teams from that perspective. Number one, who is New England's tight end? They've got Keene and they've got Asai. I think both of them average just right around one target per game for the season. There's just not enough volume there to really get excited about either one. They're both priced in the 30-1 range. Just not any value there. As far as Buffalo's tight end, the problem there is a combination of price and opportunity. New England is very good against tight ends when it comes to giving up touchdowns. They're actually the second best team in the league when it comes to not giving up touchdowns to tight ends. And then you start to look at the price. A player like Dawson Knox was mid-20s just about all season. And tonight, for some reason, is 18-1. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that when you look at these markets, there's a lot of shading in first touchdown scores towards the favorite. And I think that's what we're seeing in a lot of these Bills prices. I always find that to be interesting because a lot of times the favorite might not score first. I mean, in a game where you have a coin flip to start the game, you don't know who's getting the ball. I'm not sure why they shade things so much. So it takes a little bit of value out of Buffalo. What I do have is two really nice spots here. Both of these teams actually give up a lot of touchdowns to quarterbacks. So we've got Cam Newton here at plus 650. We've got Josh Allen at plus 900. I think both have a great chance to score touchdowns tonight. If you want to be a little less risky, take a look at both of them, and there are any time touchdown scorer markets, but I think both have a great chance to score the first touchdown here. This is a pretty decent price on Cam. I'm seeing plus 650 a few places, plus 600 is even fine. He's usually closer to plus 400. Josh Allen at plus 900, again, pretty solid price there as well. So I think there's some value in those two names, and unfortunately not value in some of the other places we look. So just those two for us tonight.
I dig it. I like the first touchdown score thing. Like, I know some people that do, things like that where they take a little bit off, or I don't know. You're actually risking more. You're risking more money unless you want, unless you do split it up. Maybe you're putting half of it on first touchdown score, half on part-time touchdown or anytime touchdown score, so you can get a little bit action in case, because it does feel bad when they score the second touchdown. It's nice to get a little back there. So that's not the worst. I might have to look into how that works if that's maybe a viable way to attack these. They'll see what their prices are. And I know sometimes too you can do the math on how many touchdowns are supposed to be scored in this game. Look at the total, look at the over under touchdown scored prop, and do some division and just see, like, is this kind of off market based on what their anytime scorer is. So all right, well, Monday, that's it. Quick recap. Utah, OKC under, Houston, Denver over. I'm going to take that banner down, even make a little room. Look at that. It's like a New Year's Eve looking thing. I'm going to do a theme.
A disco ball. Fancy.
Yep. Arizona +4, New Orleans -4. I'd probably play Arizona down to 3. You said you wouldn't mind the New Orleans if you can get a 6. And then my ugly dogs, Illy State. Let's go Cardinals and JIT. I don't know what their mascot is. New Jersey Institute of Technology somehow is in a conference with a bunch of Florida teams. And Cam and Allen tonight in first touchdown scores. Hopefully we have some good luck on that one. It's always nice to hit one of those. It's good to be up money like 3 minutes into the game. One of my favorite things. So as always, this will be up in podcast form. If you can't catch it live, it's on YouTube. If you want to catch it later or need a recap, please give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And as always, the Highlanders. How did I forget the Highlanders? NJIT Highlanders. And if you are in New Jersey or Colorado, there are links in the description. You can get yourself a nice bonus on WinBet, our new sponsor. And yeah, I know Vermont isn't in Florida. I forgot NCAAB did switch conferences, didn't they? I keep getting distracted by the chat. This happens a lot. But anyway, like I said, if you send us proof that you placed a bet, used our links, we will get you a sweatshirt.
Gotta get a sweatshirt, folks.
Gotta get a sweatshirt.
Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Catch you tomorrow.